Shed some light. There's a huge stigma on alt lenders, aka the B lenders, right? They just changed the name. A lenders versus B lenders. They didn't like the way B lenders sound, so they said alt lenders.
Yeah.
So many people talk about this. Steve, I don't want an alt lender. I don't want a B lender. It must be an A lender. Why? Like, what's the difference?
So the alternative lenders, the B lenders, they'll have more flexibility in terms of their ratios, but they will charge you a premium for that, right? And so I think the stigma maybe is like, I want this watch versus this watch, because this watch, I can tell everyone I have this watch, and everyone knows how much money I have, and all this kind of stuff. But at the end, like, I remember going through the process myself, right? And going like, oh, this bank, I've never heard of this bank. Well, and then as a mortgage broker, it's like, well, remember that it's them lending you their money. Right? If they go under, maybe they'll sell your mortgage to some, like, another thing, or you're scot-free. Like, there's no issue. There's no issue, right? And really the thing is, like, if you're looking for that house and you can't qualify with an A lender, there's nothing wrong with going with a B lender. In fact, a lot of business is going into the B side because of the stress test, right? There's a huge market. If you read any of the newspapers or other mortgage brokers speak and whatnot, I mean, there's a huge shift from A to B, and also private lending, right? Private lending is beyond the alternative side, right? And that's a whole different thing, right? But there's absolutely nothing wrong with being with a B lender. The thing that I think people got caught up on is, again, that all important interest rate. When they see that, hey, and especially when you see those signs on the ground saying mortgage 2.19%, right? Conditions apply. Well, there's a laundry list. There's a laundry list of, like, specific conditions, meaning, like, you have to put 35% down and get mortgage default insurance and all this kind of stuff, right? That nobody would ever do, right? So there's nothing wrong with it. And sometimes, B lenders, they want an extra strategy as well. Like, they want to know when they're going to get their money back. And so a lot of the times we might use it as a temporary thing. So, for example, we maybe not qualify you in that A lender side, but we'll put you in a B side for a year. So that you can build up a little bit more equity, you can save on the side, right? And then when it comes to that renewal time with that B lender, we might be able to qualify you into the A lender side that has a better rate.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And maybe better conditions for the actual terms, I should say, for the mortgage.
Okay. Speak truthfully. Do you think the A side it's better to be on the A side versus the alt side?
I think it's better to be in a house.
Good answer.
I think it's better to be in a house. And, there's a lot of arguments about being renting and houses. And, obviously, if you're going to be getting charged 12% on $500,000, that's not where you want to be, right?
Rent.
Yeah, rent. But, if you are looking for that house and you might have to pay a higher percentage for the year, I mean, this is all something that we discussed. What is your budget like? Are you going to be house poor? Are you barely going to make it? Are there times that you might not be able to make your mortgage payments? If that's the case for the first year, then let's not even do it, right?
Sure. Okay.
But, it doesn't matter B side or A side at this point. Again, B sides won't be doing crazy long mortgage rates for the most part. Most mortgage agents won't put you into something like that. It's more of a temporary solution until we can get you into that old glorious A side, if you will.
Let's talk about that nasty C word, commission. I did a podcast, I think it was one of my first or second podcasts, I highlighted commission. And so many people don't want to talk about it, right? I know people who get really anxious and nervous bringing it up if they're on a listing presentation or they're meeting with a buyer. But it's something that the public has to know about. They have to know how we're getting paid. Because I think in that, if they don't know how we're getting paid, is when assumptions are made. And sometimes those assumptions can be negative and false. Like, I'm going to share again. So many times I hear agents who are meeting with buyers being like, oh, sign this agreement with me, a buyer's representation agreement. As a buyer, you don't pay me. And I'm like, that's wrong advice. Sure, they don't actually pay you physically out of pocket, but they do pay you as an agent, because whatever they pay for the purchase price, in the purchase price is your commission. So inherently they are paying you. So you cannot tell a buyer that you do not pay me my commission. You 100% pay my commission. You just don't pay out of pocket right then and there. My commission comes based on the purchase price of whatever you're offering, right? So tell me, how do mortgage agents get paid? Commissions.
Yeah, so we get paid commissions from the lender.
Sure.
Right. So every lender will have their own commission structure. Some of them will do like a lump sum commission,
Okay.
and some of them will have like trailers. So what that means is that every year that you have your mortgage, you get a
cool.
smaller piece of a pie, right?
Sure, yeah.
Some lenders offer you commissions at renewal. So at renewal times, if you get a letter in the mail and you want to sign with that lender again, it's easy. You basically sign and you're renewed. And so with some of those trailer models, you might get a commission from that as well, right? So all lenders have different ways of doing it. But we get paid by the lender, and that's true for the A side, definitely. And so, depending, and this is where, again, you kind of have to remember that that's your fiduciary duty, what's best for the client. Some, like in all sales, there's always incentives, right? We'll offer you more commission, or we'll put your name into a draw for a trip to Cuba or something like that, right? And so, it's not about the commission, right? It's about putting the person in the best product. But on the A side, you'll always be nothing out of pocket. It's coming from the lenders.
Okay.
On some of the alternative lenders, not all of them, but some of the alternative lenders, there might be that we have to charge you a fee.
Sure.
Okay. And so that's when, and again, this will, some of them get rolled into the mortgage, some of them are out of pocket.
Okay.
But it's only in those like really challenging situations where we haven't been able to put you into like, the top tier Bs or the As or something like that, like, or the alt As, that will be charging you a commission.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
So, but the thing is that, the advice is always free. Like the education is always free. And this is where I tell them, like, I might turn around and say, and this is not the best time, right?
Yeah.
The hours that we spent together talking about and building a plan for the future, it's all free.
Yeah.
Right? And so people should
Bingo.
It's
Bingo.
And the same thing with you. Like, we are very willing to give up our time in the pursuit of education. We're both educators. We never entered teaching for money, right? And
no.
I think no, not at all,
right?
right? And I think that still holds true for both of us, where we still have that mindset where we find more value in educating our clients than getting that paycheck. The paycheck's always nice. Like, we have to support our families, we have to support ourselves. But at the end of the day, like, can we sleep at night? Can I walk away knowing that you have the best information?
Yeah.
That's what really matters.
It's interesting that we're talking about this, because I know there are people who absolutely do not want to work with renters because it's not a lot of money. I never look at it that way, ever. So people are like, but you'd be better off spending your time like on the buying and the selling. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm better off spending my time because I can make more money doing that. But I'm about the relationship. That renter, I know is not going to rent for the rest of their lives.
No.
That's the beauty of it. So if I can give them the knowledge and the service and the trust while they're renting, there's no question that they're going to come to me when they're ready to buy, if and when they're ready to buy, right? And that's the power of fighting for that relationship, which is crazy.
And just to throw that on top of that as well, is that, for me, and I think the same for you, is that some of those more challenging cases are the ones that are like, the most awesome ones. Like, I think I get so much pleasure from those hard ones, and sometimes it might be that renter, right, that has had a hard time, and then you've got them into a house for temporary or for maybe a more permanent thing. Yeah. And I think that really shines the sun on your head.
Do you ever like talk to people about it? Be like, hey, this lender is paying me this. This lender is paying me this. This lender is paying me this. Just so that you now know. Because it's in that transparency that you're going to make, there will be no questions. Because I do that. I do that when I send listings or when I talk to people, always on the bottom. So it's interesting. In real estate, there's a client view and a broker view.
Okay.
Most people send a client view because it actually gets rid of the commissions. Oh. It doesn't show commission. I always send broker view. So the broker view is exactly what the commission is on that property. Because everyone's at standard rates 2.5% to the buyer, 2.5% to the seller. Mm-hmm. I have heard that there are some agents who don't show properties because it's not the full 2.5%. It's 2.25% or it's 2%. Wow. So they actually don't show it, right? I don't ever want there to be a question ever when I'm showing you a property, as if it, like, I don't want you to ever doubt that your intent or your needs are at the forefront of everything that I'm doing. Because I put someone in a condo, it was 2%. He's like, oh, I feel bad. I know it's 2.5%. I'm like, why do you feel bad? You love the condo. I don't care. Like, I do this because it makes you happy, not about this. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I'm wondering, would you ever do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever been asked by a client.
Yeah.
I know I've always
That's a good thing because they trust you wholeheartedly. And it's not like I do it because someone asked me, but I don't ever want there to be, hey, I wonder if this truly was the best house or the motivation was truly pure on this.
Yes. And it might be something like, now I'm thinking about it, maybe it's something going forward that I do.
Yeah.
I have no problem. For me, I know that from all the hours that I put into that application, I know these are this one is the best one. And sometimes I'll put you in a lender that I get half the commission that I would put in another one, right? Yeah. But I'm putting you into that because I know that's what's right for you, right? And so
That's amazing. I want to go back to you as a teacher. So it's always the beauty of hindsight. What's the one thing now, because you've been out of teaching for a number of years, what's the one thing you always wanted your students to walk out of class with? Whether it's, at the end of the semester, at the end of the year, when they graduate, what's the one thing, it's a tough question, what's the one thing you truly wish you wanted your kids, your students to walk out of your class or out of school with? Like if they came back and they were like, thank you so much, like what would be the thing that you're like, you got it, like you got it, like you heard what I was saying, you were listening, like what's that thing?
SN2 organic reactions. No,
that's crazy.
Never doubt yourself. That's the one thing. I have students that always come back and I remember, oh my gosh, like in class, sometimes we would just get into rants, right? Like just get into rants. And I know sometimes my students were egging me on, right? Like, sir, have you thought about this, right? And they're like, oh, here it goes, right?
Yeah.
But like, I've always tried to motivate these young individuals, right? Like they have so many pressures on them. I think more so than ever before.
Huge.
Huge. Social media, this, or you have to conform to this or that and that, and some of them just get into such a low, like such a low. And the biggest thing that I said is never doubt yourself. Like always believe in yourself. Work with integrity. If you think it's wrong, then it probably is. Yeah. Right? But always.
I love that. Yeah. If you think that it's wrong, probably is.
Well, and that's one thing that like kind of motivates me is like, I think about, especially when my son was born, I have a legacy to leave. I have my name, right? Am I doing my name proud? Am I doing my family proud? If not, then I don't do it, right? It's done. Like it's done deal. I'm not doing it. And this is the thing is that I work the same way. And I've always been an open book, for better or for worse. I've always been an open book, and I've always shared my feelings and thoughts about something. I've always said it how it is. And I think one of the things that my students respect me for the most is being blatantly open with them, and being honest with what the real world is, right? Because school is like, it's sugar-coated as much, right? Nowadays you can't fail, right? There's a lot. You can't get a 0. Oh, you didn't hand it in?
Hey, you came 15th place. Here's a participation ribbon.
That's right.
What?
Yeah. And so
that doesn't make sense.
And I don't know. Like, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how that plays into the psyche of individuals. But
you do though. Because if you just look at the sheer number of issues that the younger generation is facing right now, I feel is rooted in the fact that we have paved this golden road for them so that whenever there's a bump or a hiccup in the road, they actually don't have the tools to move past that, because you know what? They have been praised for becoming 15th place. They have realized that, I don't need to do tests in your class and pass all of them because I'm passing anyways. So that when, I show up for work late one day and my boss fires me, what are you talking about? It's just a small thing. Yeah. No, that's the real world, right? Like, I remember, it's fine, I'm not teaching anymore, but like, I remember kids like straight up to their face, you talked about just being real and authentic with them, being like, you're being a jerk right now. In class. You're legit being a jerk. And the kids are like, whoa, like, the teacher called me a jerk. And I'm like, yeah, jerk face. Stop being a jerk. Like, you think that behavior is going to suit you well in the real world? No. I'm sorry your parents don't give you some of that tough love. Mr. Kim's going to give you tough love. Yeah. That's what it is, right?
Well, and you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, because the way I used to start my classes, the first day, I said, this is your job. Okay. This is your job. And they're like, what are you talking about? This is your job. This is all you have to do, right? Think about it as an employee. And I asked how many people have a job? Maybe 2 or 3 people, and there's like grade 9, grade 10, or whatever. What are characteristics of your job? Show up early, do your work, do your this, right? I'm like, what if you don't show up early? Well, am I going to talking to? What about if you have it again? I get fired. What about if you didn't do that, right? And we go through that. I said, this is your job. You are a professional student at this point.
Yeah.
And you have to act accordingly to do that, right? And I like, for me, I held my students to a high standard, right? Yeah. It's funny when I look at how we interacted in class and how we interact when they come back to visit, it's night and day, right?
Of course.
And they're like, you are not the same person, right? But, I think, to going back to that point that you said, is I think people are really scared of the F word, if you will, failure, right? And people are like, I want to ensure everything that my son or my daughter doesn't fail, right? And so if they come into like 19th place, you haven't failed, you just haven't gotten there. Yeah, I get it. Like, it's that growth mindset. But you also have to be able to recognize that you didn't achieve your goal.
No.
Right? You didn't achieve your goal. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, I actually just put on Instagram, like, if you don't achieve your goal, that's fine. But always remember that goal was there for a reason.
Yes.
You set that goal because there was a part of your life that you needed to better. And you can't give up on that goal because the goal is there for a reason. You set it. There was a reason for that goal. Right? So you just need to come up with a new game plan to achieve it.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't treat, like, failure is a bad word and we can't get around. And like you said, the students don't have the tools to deal with failure.
No.
And so if they fail, which is obviously going to happen,
all the time.
Like, I probably failed like 10 times today, turning this or whatever, like whatever, right? They just don't have the tools, and so they get into these super, super lows saying, I'm not worthy and this and this. And I think that's a really bad spot.
It's interesting. Over this weekend, I had a student. She's now in university. She said she did a little side project. It's called Growing Up, and she interviewed 13 of her friends who used to be at the school that I taught at, and they were just kind of highlighting what does it mean to kind of grow up. And one of the kids got on there and was like, there was a teacher who I remember still to this day who was like, you are not defined by 1 mark. You are not defined by a test. And I was like, I hope that's me. I hope he's talking to me. And he was like, big shout out to Mr. Kim. That's it. That's the walk away. When you walk out of these doors, out of this class, you're not defined by a mark. You're not defined by a test. You're defined about your impact. That's the big thing, right? I don't know how much of an impact you're going to have with an SN2 reaction. You know what I mean? But it's impact, your impact. You have a very finite amount of time here in this class, on this world. How are you going to best use that time to have the greatest impact? You and your business, your son is your legacy, right? My children are my legacy, and I will always go to the grave with this. I treat every single person like I would my family, because I know when I pass away, serendipitously, I hope one day a client runs into one of my kids and is like, hey, you don't know me. I know your dad. Your dad was awesome. He didn't lie. He didn't cheat. That's what I fight for. That end goal, that's what it's all about for me.
That's awesome.
But it ensures that we do things the right way.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So share with us, Jarek, your biggest fail. Biggest fail. Like, it could be illegal, being thrown in the back of a cruiser, drunken nights. But this is more towards, I'm going to say, geared towards your students that you've taught. Something that you truly failed at, you got right back up, you didn't let it hold you down, and you pushed through it. So, big fail. We're getting deep here.
I think my biggest fail with my students was in my first year as department head.
Okay.
It had to be. I would say the whole year, right? And that's why I say it's a big fail. Not in terms of in terms of I taught them wrong. It was just overwhelming, right?
Okay.
So I still remember, like I said, I was doing so many hours a week trying to redo these things. And year prior, when I compare the 2 years, year prior, I was always fresh. I always had brand new labs. I changed this up, all the assignments and everything. And I'm that guy that never developed the lesson once and then taught it for 20 years. Every year I was changing it up, right? Making things more succinct or more clear or whatever. Changing, always, it was always fresh. There was always something happening. And The year before, I started flipping my classes, so putting all my lessons online,
Nice,
right?
I love it.
It was the best because then in class we could do labs, we could do problems, we could do all this stuff instead of you just kind of like send to reactions, right?
Yeah.
So it was a great thing, and I loved it. I was on such a roll, and then I became a department head, and all that stopped, right? All of that stopped. You know, I was still in class. I was still 100%. In terms of being there and helping, but like I wasn't available. My door was no longer an open door policy.
Yeah.
Like I was in meetings, I was here, I was running to that, I was this, and I remember sitting down at the end of semester 1, and I was just like what happened?
Yeah.
Like I remember I was heading tests back like a month later, right? And usually it'd be like the next day.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was why I think it was the biggest fail, because I wasn't able to give feedback on time. I wasn't able to give them the freshest approach to my lessons for that year, and it really drew on me. And I remember spending that summer just sitting down and being like, I need to spend time. I know what classes I'm teaching next year, and just do the work now, so that I know all this managerial administrative stuff is still going to be there when I come back next year. So
Huge.
I'm gonna do this now, and that's what I say. We don't have summers off necessarily. I spent that whole bloody summer working on my lessons. And
you're a small percentage of the population, I would say, that does that. Like, not to speak poorly of other teachers, but there are clock watchers.
Sure,
there are people who punch in just
any business, right?
True, right? And so I find the ones that have had the greatest impact on students are the ones who go above and beyond.
Absolutely.
Right? And people are like, well, why do you do it? Why do you coach so many hours? Why do you coach so many teams? Why are you doing so much extra help? Why open door policy? Because this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
This is what the students need, right? Which is why I'm sure, I don't know how you are as a teacher, but I'm positive that there are many, many, many students who are going to be like, my favorite teacher. He was my favorite teacher.
Some of my students found me on my New York Mortgage page, and literally I looked at the insights of the post, and it was just shared. And I know all of those shares, they just started commenting like, "Oh, Mr. P, that was my teacher," right? And that's the kind of stuff I love. Is like coming back and they'll speak positive of you, and that's again that speaks that legacy kind of thing.
Huge. Okay, so let's get into social media in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find you? Where can we find Jarek?
I am on Instagram at New Door Mortgage. I'm on Facebook at New Door Mortgage, and I am slowly working towards a YouTube channel.
Slowly.
So
when should we see that? I want to hold you accountable.
Oh,
because we talked a few months ago.
Yeah.
When are we going to see that YouTube channel?
It's probably not going to be until end of August, early September, just because my daughter's going to be born any day right now, and so I remember when my son was born, there was no such thing as sleep for like the first 3 months. So, with our boy and stuff like that, it's going to be mayhem. So I'm still focusing on my clients, making sure that they're 100%, and so the YouTube is definitely going to be, it's a side project, but it's not what's at the forefront right now.
Okay, if I take the mortgage agent hat off of you, what do you want everyone to know about you? That you are what?
I'm easy. I'm easy. I'm easy to talk to.
Yeah, you are.
I'll give you the straight up.
Yeah.
Whether you want to hear it or not, I'll make it sound nice if you don't want to hear it. But I'll tell you what I suggest. And again, I'm only there to advise, so you can always make the final decision.
Yeah.
But I'm easy to talk to. I'll educate you as much as you want or as little as you want.
Sure.
And yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so I always end off the podcast on a little bit of a lighter note.
Yeah.
So 2 fun questions. What is your all-time favorite food dish? Your last meal on the face of this earth?
Bigos.
What is bigos? It's funny. This big shout out to Victor Staruskovic, one of my best friends in high school. What is that?
Bigos is a Polish dish that looks. It's like literally translated into like hunter's stew. So it's like hickory smoked bacon with like.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. It's like cherry smoked kielbasa with like pork, and then it has like fresh sauerkraut with like aged sauerkraut, all in this like beautiful kind of like. I don't even know, but it's delicious. Like it's unbelievably delicious, and
I'm so hungry.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Okay, where do I? Okay, let me ask you, because I do these Foodie Fridays.
Yeah.
What are some really good Polish restaurants in and around the GTA? That I would walk into and see Polish people, because that's how I measure Korean restaurants when I walk in. If there are legit way more Korean people, then that's a good restaurant.
Yeah.
So what would be some good Polish restaurants?
Oh man, the name escapes me right now, but there's one on Roncesvalles. It is it's Polish name. It's a Polish name, and they have amazing food there. In Mississauga, I can send you the name. In Mississauga, there's a couple of them. There's, again, these names escape me, but I know where it's like I can go there on autopilot if you will, right? I don't even know what the sign is. Just like the nose kind of brings me there. But I could definitely send you these. There's one on Dundas and Glengarry, and there's one on here, Ontario, and kind of like Dundas area as well. Like, these places are just rock solid.
Okay, so what's it called again?
Bigos. Bigos.
Bigos.
Yeah, Bigos.
I want this.
Yeah, I will make you some. I'll bring you some.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Okay, and last question, we're gonna end. Second last question. What's your fondest childhood memory?
You know what? Car rides to Florida with my grandma and my mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the funniest times. Like, I mean, you'd be driving.
I think of that as being torture, man. Like, it was like 24 hours in a car.
24, yeah.
Oh man.
We stopped in the way, like midway, but like we'd get like so stir crazy that we would just be like singing songs in like imaginary languages and all this kind of stuff, and it was just fun. It was fun.
That's amazing. Okay, we're gonna end this off. Jarek, what does it mean to be great, be kind? That's the name of the podcast. That's what I say to all of my graduating classes. Be great, be kind. What does that mean to you?
Work with integrity and work with integrity with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
I think that if you are great, it will come back to you tenfold if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But it also allows you to feel warm and tingly inside and not have a heavy heart, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to also look at how you feel, and if you're doing good things, you're gonna feel good, right? And
I love that. If you're gonna do good things, you're gonna feel good. So
yeah,
I like that.
It never hurts to be kind. Everyone, you never know what's going on in the background in everyone's lives.
True.
People could be putting a smile on their face, right? But they could be going through the worst times of their lives, right?
Yeah.
So you never want to be that straw that breaks the camel's back. You always want to be that person that lifts that straw off, right?
Yeah.
And I think that working with integrity, smile on your face, and always putting people's needs not above your own always, but always putting them in high regard is definitely, I think, how you work.
I love it. Okay, so Jarek, again, thank you so much, because I know you're on baby watch to 2019 right now. A huge shout out to your wife. But thank you so much for spending the time. If you haven't followed Jarek on all of his social media channels, we will post them in the post. Please make sure that you do so. He is a phenomenally wicked, genuine, authentic, passionate guy. Thank you again, Jarek, for spending your time speaking your truth and sharing with us just so many wonderful nuggets about you.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
As always, you know the drill. Be great, be kind, everyone. Take care.